It started on an ordinary morning at Ridgewood High, the kind of morning where the air felt heavy with routine. Laughter echoed through the halls, and no one suspected that something extraordinary was about to unfold. But sometimes the most unforgettable stories begin in the quiet moments no one notices. And on that day, it began with a shy girl, a German shepherd, and a cruel joke that went too far. Amelia was the kind of student most people forgot existed. She sat in the back row, spoke softly, and kept her eyes down. Her small frame and nervous demeanor made her an easy target. She wasn't popular, didn't have a group, and the few times she tried to speak up, her words were swallowed by laughter. But what no one at Ridgewood knew was that Amelia carried the kind of pain no teenager should ever have to bear. Her father, a police officer, had died in the line of duty just 6 months earlier. Since then, she'd withdrawn from everything she once loved. The only thing that made her feel safe anymore was Max, her father's retired canine partner. Max wasn't just a dog to her. He was her last connection to her father, loyal, protective, and strangely intuitive. Whenever Amelia cried at night, Max would rest his head on her lap, as if guarding her heart from breaking completely. Every morning, he would walk her to the school gates and wait faithfully until she came back out. Teachers had tried to tell her dogs weren't allowed on school property, but Max always seemed to find his way to her. He never barked, never caused trouble. He just stayed close, quietly watching. But that morning, everything changed. Before the first bell, a group of popular students, led by Jessica, the confident cheerleader who loved to be the center of attention, spotted Amelia walking up with Max. They whispered and laughed among themselves. Jessica smirked, brushing her perfect hair back. "Look who's got a bodyguard now," she said loudly, just enough for everyone to hear. The group laughed. Amelia lowered her eyes and tried to walk past, clutching her backpack. Jessica stepped in front of her. "Hey, quiet girl! What's with the mutt? You think you're better than us because your dad was a cop?" The laughter grew. Someone from the group mimicked a siren sound, and Amelia froze. Her throat tightened. Max stood beside her, sensing her distress. His ears perked, his body stiffened. He didn't growl, but his presence changed. Calm, protective, ready. When Jessica took a step closer and poked Amelia's shoulder, Max barked sharply, startling everyone. The sound echoed through the courtyard, deep and commanding. Students turned their heads, whispering. Jessica stumbled back, embarrassed, her friends laughing nervously. "Whoa! Is your dog attacking me now?" she shouted, her voice high and defensive. But Amelia didn't respond. She was already trembling. Jessica sneered. "You should keep that freak on a leash before someone calls animal control." Her words were sharp, cruel, and the group's laughter followed Amelia as she hurried toward the building. Her eyes filled with tears. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of animal loyalty, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales, because what happens next will remind you that true hearts, both human and canine, always find their moment of truth. That afternoon, as classes ended, a sudden commotion broke out in the courtyard. The sky had darkened with storm clouds, and students were gathering near the parking lot. Someone shouted that a car had rolled backward down the sloped drive, right where a few students were standing. Screams echoed as the vehicle gained speed, its tires slipping over the wet pavement. Amelia, who had been sitting quietly by the front steps with Max beside her, looked up in horror. Among the students, frozen in fear, was Jessica, the same girl who had mocked her earlier. The car was sliding straight toward her, too fast for anyone to reach her in time. Before anyone could react, Max bolted. His leash slipped from Amelia's hand as he sprinted across the pavement. In one powerful leap, he slammed into Jessica, pushing her out of the car's path, just as it crashed against a post. The sound was deafening. For a second, there was only silence, and then screams. Jessica lay on the ground, shaken but unharmed. Max, however, wasn't moving. The impact had thrown him hard against the pavement. Amelia ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "Max!" she cried, falling to her knees beside him. His chest rose weakly, his eyes finding hers as if to say, "It's okay. I did what I had to do." The students who had laughed that morning now stood frozen, their faces pale and silent. Jessica's hands shook as she whispered, He saved me." The same girl who had mocked Amelia now knelt beside her, tears welling up in her eyes. Teachers rushed out, calling for help. The sound of sirens filled the air, the same haunting echo that had marked the day Amelia lost her father. But this time, it brought something different, a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even in pain, love endures. Max was taken to the vet, barely clinging to life. For 2 days, the entire school waited for news. Students who had once ignored Amelia now visited, brought her food, left notes. Jessica came too, every day. She couldn't forgive herself for what she'd said. When Amelia finally came out of the vet's office, eyes red but smiling through tears, she whispered, "He's going to be okay." The cheer that rose from the group was genuine. For the first time, Amelia didn't feel invisible. She wasn't the quiet girl anymore. She was the girl whose dog had shown everyone what real courage looked like. From that day on, Max was no longer just a loyal companion. He became a hero. The school built a small garden bench in his honor with a plaque that read, "For Max, who reminded us that true strength speaks without words." Jessica and Amelia, once strangers, became close friends. And every morning Max would once again walk Amelia to school, his limp barely noticeable, his spirit unbroken. But sometimes, when the light hit his fur just right, Amelia swore she could see her father's reflection in his eyes, proud, smiling, at peace. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment and share it. Tell us in the comments below if you've ever known an animal whose love changed your life. Because stories like these remind the world that loyalty, kindness and courage still exist. Special request, before you go, comment "Loyal hearts never die" to honor every animal who has ever loved without limits.